it shows the unique lens, Jordan, that you can bring to this industry because, first of all, you know what it's like to see something and pump and dump something. So you know what it's like when you see something like Bitcoin where people are just trying to say, it's going to 1 million, it's going to this. So you can see the flaws in that logic. You can also see how government typically regulates things in the financial markets. And that's probably why you had that first impression. And then again, most people would not expect you to say, guys, regulation is what we need. But then again, you've seen it from the inside of Wall Street to see how it actually made things, like you said, junk bonds become things that normal corporations would use and pension funds would use. And then finally, I think it's a great thing you talk about the industry because you're watching people basically commit fraud in the open, transparently in front of everyone, and they're not getting anything from it. And that, I could tell that irritates you, right? Because you said...
Oh, it does. It does, yeah. It does. I don't want to cut you off, but you're like hitting me. I'm like, I start to twitch, the fraud because I'll tell you why.
Let's talk about the fraud right now because I know it bothers you. Sure. And first of all, why does it bother you? And tell me, what does it do to the industry? Why does it bother you so much?
As a person that committed securities fraud, right? One thing we did not do was we didn't target young kids with no money and take their last dollars. I'm not saying what I did was right, but we call rich people and someone who was worth a few $1,000,000 or 10, whatever it was, and they lost a few $100,000 and they could recover. It wasn't their last dollar. And that's a fact. And in fact, anyone wants to dispute that, go to my podcast. I have my FBI agent who arrested me. He said the exact thing. No, it's true what you did. So that was one thing. And I felt good about that in a weird way, because even though I was, breaking the law, I was like, well, there's certainly degrees of badness. And it was bad. I don't want to minimize what I did, but it wasn't as bad as taking, lady for a last dollar. Different game, okay? Or stripping a young kid or a poor person in some third world country of their last dollars because they think it's, a legitimate coin when it's actually simply been launched and designed to separate people from their money. That's evil, stone cold fucking evil. And just for the record, I never launched a stock that was I never created something to go to zero that was designed to separate people from their money. And you're a very sophisticated guy. You're from Wall Street. Why would Wall Street? Why would I ever take a company public that I thought sucked? Right. I make 1,000 times more by a company that works. So I made more on Steve Madden than all the other ones combined because that one worked the best. You don't make money by taking a shit company public. The problem is it's hard to find great companies. And also you're dealing with entrepreneurs who go down, the wrong path. But what I was doing was manipulating stocks is more esoteric. So that's one thing. Second thing, I wasn't poisoning the image of an industry. The stock market is a well-established industry, and people knew what they were getting into with penny stocks. In fact, we would send them a letter. If you wanted to open up an account at Stratton, you would receive a letter. This is a piece of shit you're investing in. It's going to zero almost certainly. I'm manipulating the stock. So when you buy it, you're probably buying it at a price way higher than the fundamental value. And when you try to sell it, there's probably no buyers. I would send that letter to every person. No one cared, because they knew what they were getting into. Right. Here, this is very different. You're dealing with people with no disclosure, and it's just happening at such a level of fraud with this, they call them rug pulls, which is just pump and dump, right? Yeah. And these people need to go to jail. And listen, and I still went to jail for it. Did I deserve to go to jail? And I'm not even, I'm happy in retrospect because I created the greatest life ever for me, right? But the point is I made a mistake. I deserved to go to jail, forced me to start over. And now I do things right. And it's a great lesson learned. It's an inspiration and a roadmap for other people. But it bothers the fucking hell out of me that these people, they talk about it openly on Telegram. I'm like, are you guys understand what you're doing? You're talking about committing fraud, and there's a paper trail forever on this stuff. You guys are going to, at some point, go down. You know as well as I do, there are many very, very large influencers that use their name to pump up shitcoin after shitcoin after shitcoin, knowingly doing it. They still haven't gotten in trouble yet. I don't wish anybody well, but anybody bad. But that really bothered me too. I got offered, I'm sure like you did, I got offered to pump up every shitcoin in the world. I never did even one. I never talked about one coin ever. The first time I briefly mentioned the coin was the other day, a coin called Protocol, because I invested in the company myself, but I won't sell a thing for 2 years if I invested in it. So it's and I barely even didn't pump it. I just mentioned it on my podcast. Oh, by the way, I own it too. So, but what went on. It was ugly and disgusting. MILF coin, Schmilf coin, Litecoin, Brightcoin. Come on,
Yeah, exactly. And we see these things launched with similar names to other coins. And yeah, the thing people don't realize, especially these kids don't realize, is that on top of everything, Jordan, it's on the damn blockchain, right? So they're not only, there's literally a trace, on the block of all these things that are going to happen. And you believe firmly that it's just a matter of time before all these people will be found and prosecuted, right?
Ryan, I committed securities fraud in 1991, 2, 3, and 4. I did not get arrested until 5 years later. And at the time, I was already out of the market in a completely unrelated industry, running Steve Madden shoes. And I was out of it, doing everything right. The wheels of justice grind slowly, but they do grind forward. And I got to tell you, I think that it needs to happen. It needs to happen. A lesson needs to be taught. I don't think this should go up to everyone, but the people that really did this in a big way, not once, but again and again and again, deserve to feel the pain as an example to everyone else. And I truly believe that.